First of all, great film. Really appreciated, so many stories that were being told throughout it. What was it like working with somebody like Steve McQueen, who truly is passionate, really passionate filmmaker? Some people have deemed him as difficult, but I think that's truly just...
Who deemed him as difficult?
Yeah.
Send him our way.
Anybody who knows what they want is deemed difficult.
Right.
Especially if they're connected to both their masculine side and feminine side, because when you fight for anything ethical, moral, it's considered feminine, It's like ethical, moral, justice. It's like, oh, you're such a pussy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Or you're difficult. It's like, come on.
Not difficult.
I don't know. He was absolutely the most amazing director to work with, because it's just like there's vision, there's a fire, He did not pick us on accident, you know what I mean? Like, it's the whole tapestry that he's trying to weave here, and it's like, I think he's just one of the most brilliant minds, and I was like, people should be really terrified about where this man is going to go, because like, he's not afraid to take those stories that people are shunned sometimes or are afraid to, even confront, and for him to come and capture the city of Chicago the way that he did, from watching the show that he watched in the 80s, that had 3 white British women that were at the helm of it, or 4 white British women that were at the helm of it, be like, you know what, actually, I feel like this still relates to today. Like let's go ahead and flip it on its head, you know what I mean? And to do it with such a phenomenal cast.
Yeah.
He made a metaphor out of Chicago.
It was, it's like poetry, man.
Beautiful.
Anyone who is fine with clearing a room for 2 actors to get together, find the moment, find out what they need, and then to regain confidence in what they're doing cannot be deemed difficult. He just knows what he wants, and is kind enough to make sure that his actors have the space to do it too.
Right.
It also feels like he's okay with discovering what it is.
Yes.
So you start out with this template of economic subterfuge and the lineage of law-abiding governmental official down to drug dealer in the street. Split that in half, and you go the masculine quest for power, the feminine quest for survival.
Right.
I mean, he thinks in so many dimensions at once that, for me, what I leave this whole experience with is that 120 pages. In those 120 pages, you don't have to sacrifice depth, quality, and real story in order to entertain someone.
For sure. Yeah.
I was just like, oh damn! It's like a whole new way to look at 120 pages.
Absolutely, like a movie
makes
that
everything so much harder to find the right things to do.
Sure. I wanted to just ask, when it comes to choosing your roles in Hollywood today. I actually had an opportunity to interview Cicely Tyson one time. She talked about she didn't always have the luxury to just choose any old role, because she had a responsibility to sort of portray herself for women out there. Do you ever feel like that you can't just take on any old role because you have a responsibility to choose one that reflects the women
I
you
was
want
an
to see?
activist for the entire 16 years that I've been in this game. This is the first time that I've been challenged as an actress in 16 years.
Wow.
And that is by choice. I could have made myself a lot richer, let me tell you, if I just look at all the things I said no to. And I'm like, trust me. But it was that idea of like, oh, wait, everyone else is doing that. And that image is the thing that used to piss me off when I was a kid watching TV. And I felt like, because we're minorities, really. And even though globalization is changing the face of that, and people see you can make money in having a multicultural cast, that didn't exist when I was younger.
Right.
It was something that we were being a part of. And so, getting there, I felt a duty. I felt a duty to stand up and not be a slut. I felt a duty not to be the little sidekick. I felt a duty to stand up and have some sort of, independence on screen.
For sure.
And so I never really got to play and explore and grow, because you grow from vulnerability. You grow from fighting your fears. You don't grow from playing a tough girl all the time. That's bullshit. It's an image, but it's an image that makes little girls cry when they come to me and they're like, Michelle, I love you. And I'm like, I know why she's crying. She's not crying because I'm, some superstar or something. She's crying because she sees me in her.
Right.
And that's why I do it. You know what I mean? It's because I know that. I know that little girl. Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, I won't slut it out for you.
You gotta turn the cries into screams, man. Like, that's my whole thing. Turn the cries into screams. Like, I don't want to sit there and wail all day about being overlooked and doing this. I want to turn that cry into a scream. And like, let's shout it to the highest peak. because at the end of the day, you create it. You create it for yourself. Change the scope. Force people to change the scope of how they see you and what these characters can be. Like, there's no such thing as a villain or a bad guy to me. I'm like, they didn't start that way. That's not how they were built. There's a story. Don't lie on them. So it's like you change that, you cultivate it, and you keep going.
I'm starting to realize that really it's like call to arms.
Yeah, man,
Like,
exactly.
your
that.
ass needs to be writing. Your ass needs to be thinking about stories. Like, this is what I realized by working with McQueen. I'm like, oh wait,
You can tell
you see me for me, but that's because you see.
Yeah.
I see too.
See
So
about
like,
me.
if they're not writing it for you, and why would you expect a Caucasian white male to write for you?
Right.
I think we're all idiots to think that we should. You know how hard it is to become a writer in Hollywood? Why should I expect him to write my story? You know, I feel that we, in a sense, by complaining, feel entitled. And we shouldn't. We should get out there and start discovering ourselves.
Fucking head off. Scream your head off.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I love that. Well, thank you guys for being the change that you want to see in Hollywood.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
We look
thank
forward
you
to more
for-
of your work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being a part of it too, man.